Thank you very much for staying. Now, the Energy Ministry is insisting that the proposed electricity tariff reduction would not impact negatively on the sector. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta in the 2018 budget disclosed that government would be asking the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, to consider reducing electricity tariffs between 11 and 21% depending on the consumption pattern of users. This has not gone down well with the minority in Parliament, who claim this would affect power generation in the country. But the Deputy Minister of Energy, Joseph Kudjo, disagrees.
The focus of this government, first and foremost, is to grow the economy, create jobs. So any thinking, innovative in nature, is directed at that, just like the tariff reduction proposal. What has happened is that we met power purchase agreements signed and contracts. So we had contractual obligations to take power from independent power producers at agreed tariffs existing. What we've done, believing they were high, and this is informed belief, we have engaged the contract holders, that's the independent power producers, we have engaged them out of goodwill. They've given concessions. Now, as to whether PURC will approve or not, PURC listens to the sellers in this case, independent power producers. They make a case to PURC and say, I have capital recovery of this, I have operation and maintenance cost of this, I have fuel projected fuel consumption of this, I have this efficiency. They present this to PURC, and PURC, looking at their case, approves a tariff for them. So if we, the President, leading in this charge through his Minister of Energy, comes to sit down with the independent power producers to make a case to them, and they agree that they will look at the capital recovery, they will look at O&M costs, they will look at the various components, and indeed you have reached that agreement with them, then how would you want PURC to behave?
All right, so on this same developments, we're joined by Executive Director of the Kumasi Institute of Technology and Environment, KITE, Ishmael Ejokumihene, who is an energy expert as well, and he's going to clarify some of the issues. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the marketplace.
Good afternoon.
Now, before we even go on, how did you see yesterday's budgets?
Well, it's like we all heard, the government is telling us that the budget is going to promote jobs. I haven't had time to study the budget. They say that the devil is always in the details. But if what I heard the finance minister saying is able to deliver on all of that, then it should be good news for Ghanaians.
All right, now let's come to the power sector, and I believe one significant issue here was a reduction in electricity tariffs. Now, as an energy expert, how feasible is this?
Well, first and foremost, I'm not sure government has the power to reduce tariffs. So when I heard the vice president saying that they're going to reduce the tariff, I was a little bit worried, because I know it's only the PURC that has been mandated by law to determine how much we pay. But yesterday, I think the finance minister clarified that they've made a proposal to PURC. It's left to PURC to actually agree or not. But I must say, listening to what the deputy minister said, if it's an agreement between the power producers to reduce what has been agreed on in their power purchase agreements, then that also takes away some of my worries, because then it's not going to be a subsidy, but then somebody has agreed not to charge what they're already charging. But I think it's important that government makes it clear that they cannot, or it's important we let government understand that they cannot change tariffs once it's approved by PURC. And I believe the government itself will never want to introduce subsidies into a sector that we're already struggling to clear 2.4 billion debt that is already hanging around our necks, and we've just issued bonds. So if it's not going to be subsidy and it's as a result of a realization that the cost of generation has come down mainly because probably we have more gas, then I'm a consumer at the end of the day, I should be happy. But if it's just like giving me some relief, which I'm going to have to pay for it later on, then I think we shouldn't be excited about that. We should all make sure that the reduction is coming about as a result of reduction in power cost of generating power, and not a subsidy or not an administrative or executive fiat coming from the Flagstaff House.
Now, I believe that this indicates that government is going to subsidize, so to speak, this particular gap that will be brought about because of this reduction. How should it be funded?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If what the deputy minister said is true, then I mean, first and foremost, I'm not sure government would want to do anything that would amount to subsidy, which they will have to find money to pay. So what I think is happening is the fact that, you know, the 2015 tariffs that were approved, there were some underlying assumptions. So they will take into consideration how much of the power is going to come in from hydro, what percentage is coming from thermal, and then with the thermal they further break it down. What fuel will be used to run each of the thermal systems? Is it gas? Is it going to be is it going to be liquid fuel? Is it going to be diesel? Okay, so I believe this reduction is coming about as a result of the fact that there is a realization that we're no longer going to have too many plants running on liquid fuel, and that gas is cheaper than liquid fuel, and we'll be able to bring the cost down. And we've communicated that to the IPPs, and they've agreed that we should bring it down. It's left to PRC to see if they agree with the mechanics, the mechanisms and the calculations done by the government. But let's make it clear that anything that amounts to subsidies that government will have to find money to pay, we shouldn't support that, because we'll come back to pay it just like we are paying the legacy debts now.
All right, now, Ishmael, would this current development not interfere with MEDA's review regime or the MEDA's current arrangement with government under the downstream sector of electricity?
My hunch is that, you know, there's been a tariff study that was commissioned by MEDA. And one of the things that study is supposed to do is this revision of the methodology and as well as the cost structure. So I suspect, I haven't cited that final report, but I suspect that when the minister said that they conducted a review of the methodology, I suspect it's coming from that MEDA report that was commissioned. So if that's the case, then it should be actually in consonance with what MEDA is trying to do. But you see, this is precisely what the clause in that compact that sought to say that once PRC set tariff, nobody can vary it. That, I believe this is one of the situations where they sought to prevent a government coming up one day to say that, oh, PRC said we should pay X amount, but government doesn't think that we should pay that amount. I believe that was the import of that clause that labor unions and think tanks are fighting. But our government needs to stay out of this. And as I'm saying, I suspect that this decision is based on that tariff review and that study that has been conducted by MEDA. But we can always check. And once PRC comes out to tell us their position on this proposal,
all right, now, finally, before you go, the finance minister also indicated some reforms and policy interventions to ensure affordability within subsequent years. What options do you think are for government?
Well, we need to continue to maybe procure cheaper sources of power, and we need to continue to improve efficiency even at the end use side. I think energy efficiency should be pursued very aggressively, because if I'm using less energy to achieve the same purpose, I don't have to spend too much money on energy. So let's continue to make sure that competitive bidding for our power plants, we pursue that. I mean, more gas fired plant. But even more importantly, we shouldn't accept any simple cycle plant. We should go in for we should procure combined cycle plants, and we need to pursue energy efficiency. Of course, renewables are also being pursued, but unless we bring the cost of generation down and we stabilize the macroeconomy, we cannot bring the electricity cost down.
All right, thank you so much, Ishmael Jekumini. He is the Executive Director of the Kumasi Institute of Technical Environment, KITE, and he's been sharing his thoughts on the current development where government has announced an 11% or between 11 strategies to exploit such opportunities. He spoke to Joy Business on the sidelines of the 3-day Ghana Industrial Summit and Exhibition, which opened yesterday.
The Ghana Industrial Summit and Exhibition is a platform that aims to link foreign industrialists with their local counterparts in the country. The event saw captains of industry explore ways of investing in the manufacturing industry. Speaking to Joy Business, incoming president of the AGI, Dr. Edu Jemfi, says the event is in line with the 2018 budget, which has prioritized government industrialization agenda as part of its key indicators for economic growth.
This exhibition basically to showcase what Ghanaian industries can do. And basically we are exposing it to the public for them to understand there's a lot of things that Ghanaian companies are capable of doing. When you see the 10-point policy that the government is putting together so far as industrial transformation is concerned, of course that means that we, the private sector, must be positioning ourselves in terms of changing our thinking.
Joy Business got in touch with some exhibitors at the event who expressed satisfaction over AGI's move to reposition itself in order to maximize the industrialization agenda.
We want people to know about the natural products we do. We want to get network and get acquainted with other Ghanaian businesses and industries so that we can link up and understand the totality of the value chain, so that if there's people can be suppliers, producers for some of my raw materials, I hope to meet them here.
There is a kind of relation between Ghana and Spain in terms of industrial, but we want to improve this relation. That's the reason why I'm here, because I want to try to promote the Spanish machinery manufacturers in Ghana. Then let's try it if we can do much cooperation.
Well, we're looking at the mileage for one. That's very important to us. We want to see if they'll focus much respect to their publicity. Yeah.
The 3-day event ends on Friday, the 17th of November.
All right, so we'll be sending you live to the event grounds, the Accra International Conference Center, to join our man Charles Aite with some updates from the second day of the Industrialization Summit. But before we get through to Charles, online real estate marketplace Mikasa is one of the fastest growing startups in the country, started by 3 friends. The platform is providing solutions to the cumbersome task of seeking a property to rent or purchase. The story on today's edition of the Joy Business Van, which is a repeat.
In 2013, 3 friends founded online real estate marketplace Mikasa. Kelvin Yame met his co-founders Rashad Saini and Kofi Amwesi at the Meltwater Entrepreneurs School of Technology in Accra.
We worked on different ideas. There were ideas that we could have actually built into business, but for reasons like the market, for reasons like skill sets, if I looked at my co-founders and myself, is this something that we can actually take and build successfully? And again, for obvious reasons like funding, because some of the ideas needed more money, than others. So we had to brainstorm, and we came up with a real estate problem, which is how do we connect people? How do we make it easy for people to find accommodation?
Having been stressed out himself searching for an apartment, Kelvin understood too well how difficult a task it can be. Mikasa.com was built with a $90,000 seed investment from the Meltwater Entrepreneurial School of Technology, helping to connect property seekers to property owners.
I won't honestly say that I was very confident. So we were looking to how do we approach from all angles the FAQs, these questions that they would ask, it's a Ghanaian business, what's the trust that you can deliver? Why should I work with you? Why shouldn't I list for free? What's the guarantee that you won't go behind me and close the lead? And then again, for a startup, the risk is how long before you collapse and you would have wasted our time, right? So there were all these interesting questions that they were asking. But I think one key thing that worked was relationship.
For the kind of business they are in, Kelvin and his team knew they had to build the trust of clients, and that is why relationship is so important to them. Well, that appears to have worked for them.
We have more content than any vertical in Ghana. We generate more leads. So in terms of people who are actually contacting our customers and looking to rent or looking to go and view the property and make a close, we generate over 11,000 currently, than anybody. And in terms of page views as well, we do close to 500,000 page views. So people are browsing and viewing, pages, property details page, engaging with our content on our websites.
In 2015, Mikasa got a major boost after securing $500,000 investment from Frontier Digital Ventures, a global VC firm headquartered in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, consolidating its position as a market leader in Ghana.
We started monetizing early January. That's having different products for different customers, because every customer in their developers have separate needs. Agents, again, they have different hierarchy. There are people who have office spaces very, very established. They have employees, and they go after maybe the high end, or they go after apartments, condos. And there are people who just do low-end properties. There are people who are selling. We have clients who are selling properties in Dubai, elsewhere.
In 2016, Kelvin was named among Forbes 30 Under 30 list of promising entrepreneurs in Africa, and recently his team acquired Jumia House. To attain the level of success Mikasa has, Kelvin recognizes it's about getting the right team.
I think it's tremendous from where we started. We started from a really, we started from a really small office, it was a kitchen at the time, messed. It was a small kitchen, no AC, no fan. But it wasn't ideal. We were just there in a short term for 2 months, I think. And the reason was we were waiting for our space in the link to be ready. But what I noticed at that period, none of my co-founders complained, and that's when you know that you have the right people who are ready to work with you, who are ready to sacrifice. So first success, I think it's my co-founders. I met the right people. It's really, really key, because you need people who will be in for the long term. You need people who will be really honest with you. You need people who would want to overwork regardless of how much money is coming in, who want to take up other tasks. So I think that, and who trust the CEO, who trust whoever the leader is. So yeah, with acquisition, I think it's giving us more opportunity to serve our customers more. It's giving us more opportunities to deliver, the promises that we continue to give our customers in terms of traffic, in terms of leads, in terms of return on investment. We want people to feel that their business is growing. We want to give them an alternative to marketing, because the traditional market is very expensive. It's not very targeted. There are all of these disadvantages why they can't pick that option. So we want them to see this option as a very resourceful option, a very reliable option, to help their business grow. And we want our consumers who, regardless, will continue to invest, because relatives is a very basic need, right? It's a lot of deficit. We need more people to be incentivized to build more. But when they build more, we need people to acquire this or to occupy these spaces, right? So we want people who are looking, we want to make it very easy. You don't need to have a lot of money and hassle to own.
And pretty much the passion of the team behind Mikasa to ensure everyone owns a property.
All right, so you can always catch the Joy Business Van on Business Live every Wednesday with a repeat on the marketplace on Thursdays. Now, before we finally go, police and military personnel have been deployed to force defiant traders off the pavements and other unauthorized places in the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi. City authorities have ordered all traders and transport operators to relocate to the racecourse area and other designated markets within the capital. Some of them have, however, refused to leave on grounds they cannot secure space at the news sites. Love FM's Kwesi Debra reports.
The Kumasi Traditional Council teamed up with Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to relocate traders occupying pavements and unauthorized places in Kumasi last week. The move follows an eviction notice served by the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council calling for vacation of such places by Monday. The arrangement also precedes the final funeral rites of the late Asantehima Efiakobi Sewampem II. The movement of traders from some parts of Edum, Kejetia, Pampaso and the Kumasi Zoo has, however, suffered a setback. Security forces were seen standing at vantage points in the central business district, but the traders wouldn't have any of that.
Region where we're standing specifically is a piece that as you can see, the streets are hollow, the streets are empty. There used to be cars all around here, taxi cabs and also trotro, but they are all not here as a result of the decongestion exercised by the KMA. Today they've been police and also joint military and police action. The traders are still back on the road. We're going to speak with them why they decided to stand in the streets and do their business. That about your process? I thought you know, I say military police about how two more, but what that's what I didn't hear.
Oh, and I said that's what I say. Anybody, Obie no ma, opposite trap come to there. So that's and so said there. In putting phone be this one. A conference was musician man. You join and just. There
should have been a proper dialogue. Evicting us when you are in power isn't proper. I don't like the military action.
Who can two or more? If you mean anybody have 40,000, 50,000, that's what people more call. I said, military, Afghanistan. I can't talk about how was the military.
Ofie wono ye betu firi ho a ontimi yede ontimi firi ho kwa obagina jana wa kra se de be ya so ho de na ntimi ansa na we kwa na wako ande wo ho yesi egu ha ye nkwatena ho e fa ankosie yesi ha ye bode eye hima entosi hima ha ye se ti se hu de omo de ye bia.
We can't vacate here easily like that. No matter the force, we would have to return.
Yes, me cry me buy I am to see a family, Makotolet mienu. A family, Domu Yamobo. Yes, Ropa, Bano Cradi, one BB. Yes,
we are afraid of the military action.
To almost 1 million Yamobo.
And it's Yama any, none your mentia see any say. Me MPP ni pio, and this time I'm on 2 years. Mama party
the Abinchi market is not conducive for us. They have sold them out to others. I am a member of the NPP. We want Nanado to take action.
And wash MPP for. I'm a good animal as if I'm MPP.
Baby, I'm the honey, my Sebi previous, some more feeding any drew, or money or come.
Okay. The Abinchi market is not properly arranged to accommodate us. We went there, but couldn't get a place.
Well, on that note, we wrap up this afternoon's edition of the Marketplace. Many thanks for joining me on this program today. And of course, I hope to see you again same time tomorrow. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a good afternoon. My pleasure as always to come your way at this time of the day with business stories on the wings of the marketplace. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafi, and ahead in this afternoon's bulletin, Energy Ministry insists proposed electricity tariffs reduction would not impact negatively on the sector. We get some more clarification by energy experts. Also in this bulletin, AGI challenges members to reposition to take advantage of government's industrialization agenda as 3-day Ghana Industrialization Summit and Exhibition enters day 2 today. We'll be live at the event grounds. Plus, we'll bring you a repeat of the Joy Business Plan. All of these packaged in this afternoon's edition of the Marketplace. We'll be back with the details right after this.